Hi, Heather here from Creative Kiwi. Put together this quick video showing how we make our folded gift card holder. Not sure what it's like for you, but I know for me, my children are all grown up now, and unfortunately they prefer vouchers over gifts. So I do try and find something homemade or like to make something for them. So I thought these little gift card holders where you can put a credit card sized gift card or money, a little bit of jewellery, something little. They're my homemade gift to the guys this year. Now the design set has 4 different varieties, and I've included one that we've called a blank that's got the Merry Christmas wording, but you can replace that with a name like I did for my Jamie one, just so you can personalise it. You can choose between obviously a 4x4 hoop or a 5x7 hoop, and whether or not you want to have a quilted pocket or just a plain folded piece of fabric, which is by far faster. This photo kind of shows what variations you have. The quilting on the front flap and on the back is in all files. If you want that quilted pocket, you do need to stitch it separately. And that's what I'm going to show you now. Now the pocket can be stitched using just normal old cutaway or tearaway stabiliser, where the actual gift card does use water soluble. So there's just that one distinction there. So I show here at the beginning, I've hooped just as a no-show mesh. So it's just the one layer. I have pinned at the sides because I'm so used to doing that. Okay, to start with, we just take our pocket fabric, and this is all in the instructions, and fold it in half just so we have a centre line. So we're just stitching out the outline onto the cutaway stabiliser. We're just going to put a piece of batting, and this is optional, you don't have to do that, but I put a piece of batting in, and that just stitches around twice to give you an easy cutting edge. We just cut away the excess batting, and you can see there's a small gap there. That's just to keep the stabiliser out of the edges. Now we get that folded piece of fabric, and you can see that centre line that we pressed in just gives you a guide. Now you don't have to be super accurate here, it will come out, but it's just basically to give you an idea of where to place your fabric. And that's right side up, so that's the right side of your pocket fabric is facing upwards. And I'm being good here, I'm taping everything. So you pop that into the machine using whatever thread you're going to use for the quilting. I just used white. It's going to stitch around the edge, and then it's going to stitch that quilting pattern out. So that's actually finished. So it is quite quick actually. Now this is the same pocket whether it's 4x4 hoop or 5x7. So we're just cutting away that stabiliser. Then you just fold that flap back, and you can cut away a wee bit of the excess. Now you do need to press that. Okay, now we're going to go into making the centre gift card. This is made in a 4x4 hoop, and you make it in 2 hoopings with the joining and the second hooping. Now we have written step-by-step photo instructions for every variation. This video just shows the centre one for the 4x4 hoop, but it follows the same ideas and the same techniques. But please also read through the instructions. It gives you the fabric cutting requirements and some extra detail. So for the gift card, you need to have 2 layers of the fabric type stabiliser, and you need to pin at the edges. This just stops any movement in the hoop. So the first thing we do, as with all of these designs, is stitch the placement line onto the stabiliser. You can use a similar coloured thread. I just used a dark thread so you can actually see. We place a piece of batting, a thin batting, over the placement line, and we just stitch that to attach. Now I wouldn't use a thick batting for this. I use a thin polyester batting for most of mine, and it works very well. We're going to, as we do with most of these designs, cut away the batting from the edges. There is a small gap. This is just to keep the batting out of the actual seams. Now the first fabric we're going to do is just that top portion, but we're going to actually also put it on the back because this is nice reversible design. So that will be the top lining with the front of the fabric facing upwards, and we're just taping that in place. Now it's just got to cover that top bit, not the centre. Off to our machine, and we're just going to stitch the next colour which attaches the fabric. For the next part, if you're going to do the quilting, you need to change your bobbin thread because it's going to show on the lining. I've used white thread, so it doesn't matter. And you can choose whether you want to do the quilting. If you've got a pretty fabric, you may not want to have the quilting pattern, or it may be short for time. You can do it without that actual quilting. This next step, we're just going to cut away that piece of fabric where Santa's head goes. This is mainly because you really do need to use a white fabric for Santa, and it just removes that bulk. Now we're just going to put the white fabric on the front of the hoop at the moment. Basically we stitch all Santa's facial details on the front and then we add the backing. But here we go, so we attach the fabric. Now so it really does need to be a white or at the very least a light fabric because we're actually embroidering the details on this one. So once you stitch down, you go off and you just do those facial details. So we've got the pink skin or face details, the eyes, the moustache, and his eyebrows. And these details are in the instructions. That's why I do suggest you do read through the written instructions. And then we have the detail in the red of the hat. So now we're just going to add that backing. That's just so when you flip the gift card up, the back looks just as neat as the front. This time we're going to cut away all the excess fabric on the front and the back of the hoop. Now I just tend to get into a habit of cutting away the fabric on the back first, as it's just so easy to forget. Now we're back to the machine. Now these parts you want to have matching bobbin thread. Again, I've used white, so it's just quite easy. I don't have to change the bobbin. But basically what it's going to do, it's going to zigzag around the entire design except for the top and just zigzag those edges. And now it's just onto that satin stitch. Whereas I say again, I've just used white thread, so no need to change that bobbin. Next, I did change the bobbin and put a grey in just to do just around the edges of the hat and then around the actual centre details. Now that's the flap finished. And what you do here is just cut close as you can to the satin stitch edge. You're going to remove that later. That's why we use soluble stabilizer. But that top bit, just really get as close as you can, because that's going to be joined later. So the tidier you have that, the easier it is for you. So now we're straight into that second hooping, and it follows a very similar method. So we stitch the outline onto the stabilizer. Now this little bit, just extend out those guidelines. It's just going to help you later. That's where the pocket goes. So if you do it now, it just makes it easier later. We're going to put the batting over the guideline, and you can see these little projects are where I use all my scraps. I have an unusual shaped piece there, but they're really great for scraps. Again, we're just going to cut away that batting, keep it out of the edges. Again, we're going to add the fabric, so we're going to put it on the back first, so that's the right side's facing up. Now this is the actual back of the gift card, so that goes on the back of the hoop, and this part becomes the lining of the front. But once again, you have the fabric up the right way. And we just attach that fabric. The next colour is the quilting, and again it's completely optional whether you want to do that. I already had the white bobbin thread in there, so I've just carried on. Now we're going to add the pocket. So that's where those lines just make it easier to see where you add your pocket. Now you could use the pre-quilted pocket, or just like I have here, a piece of fabric folded in half and pressed. Now you want the pocket, the top of the folded edge to be along that line. Now it's not, you know, don't waste hours getting that bit perfect. All that's doing is making sure that your pocket can go on the hoop and not get caught in your join. So it really is just a guideline to show you where to place the top of the pocket. If you were doing the pre-quilted pocket, you do need to be a little bit more accurate on your placement, but I talk about that in the instructions. The next thing you do is you attach that pocket on the front of the hoop. Now we're just going to cut away all that excess fabric on the front and the back. Now I haven't shown it on the video. My machine, the presser foot, we've got an ability to lift the presser foot, so I don't tend to have a problem. But you can, if you're worried about when you're adding pockets either on the front or the back, you can put a piece of solvay over the entire hoop, and that's the plastic solvay, and that way you don't have to worry about your presser foot getting caught in the pocket. As I say, my machine's brilliant, I don't have any problem with that. Now I've just taken that design back to the machine, and we're just going to do a zigzag around the side and the bottom of the design, just to keep the raw edges all nice and neat. Right, we're now going to place our flap onto the, or join the flap. As you can see, you put it the backwards is facing the hoop, or the wrong side of it. That's because it will fold back down, and then the front of the hoop, centre space, will be shown. So what you're doing there is you're just matching stitch line on stitch line, and visually you can see where it all meets together. Tape it nice and securely. and you're just going to stitch that joining stitch. Once that stitch is finished, just have a quick check and make sure that both sides of the fabric's been caught. So you want to see zigzag on both sides. I'm sure I'll show it here. Yeah, here we go. You can just make sure that there's no raw edges there. And once you're happy with that, you're just going back again and it's just going to stitch that final satin stitch edge. Again, you would have a matching bobbin. I've used white, very simple. Magic of video, it's done. So we just pop that away from the machine and cut away the excess stabilizer close to the edges. And there we go. There you've got a nice little folded gift card. Now I found a good idea at this point was to put it under a book. Just leave it under something heavy or a book, and that just keeps that flap closed. And there you go. There's the little 4x4 gift card. Now I'm just going to go straight on to the 5x7 one hooping version, where you've hooped 2 layers of your water-soluble stabilizer and pinned at the edges, and then you just stitch the first colour onto the stabilizer. As we did with the 4x4, just take the time now to mark those lines out. Just makes it easier for you later when you're adding the pocket. I'm going to put a piece of batting over the placement line and stitch that out. Now it does stitch a top and a bottom, and that's just mainly so to help it fold nicely. There's just a small gap there. You'll see later where we cut away the batting. If you have a problem with that, if you find it really hard to get the batting from that centre bit, you can leave it. It's not going to cause an issue. It's just a little, it does make it easy to fold just without that wee batting there. But it's going to be covered by satin stitch later anyway. So there we go, we'll just cut that batting away. And just like the 4x4, we're going to do the fabric on the back of the hoop at this point. So I know it's hard with white fabric, but it would be right side of fabric facing upwards. And that is the back and front of the pocket. We're going to attach the fabric, just the top portion, not the bow. And like the 4x4, the next step is quilting. So make sure your bobbin thread either matches or be like me and just have the white thread in the bobbin. Or skip the quilting if you don't want the quilting. If you've got a pretty fabric, there's no need to put the quilting over it. I really just like the look of just the plain white fabric with the quilting. So there's the quilting done. We're just going to cut away that portion of fabric where the bow goes. Now, if you've got a darker colour bow, you could just leave it there. If you're not worried about the bulk of the white fabric, you could just place your fabrics over it. Again, we put the fabric for the back of the on the back of the hoop first, with the right side of fabric facing upwards. Back to the machine to attach the bow fabric. Now we're just going to add our pocket. Now I'm just using a plain piece of white fabric for this one again, or you could use your pretty quilted one. Again, now with the 5x7, the pocket goes on the back of the hoop. That's the thing to remember. It's the back of the hoop. And once again, those guidelines that you've marked out, they're just to keep it out of the way of the fold line. So just use that as a guide as to where you place the folded part of the pocket piece. And again, that is on the back of the hoop. We take it back to the machine and we're just going to attach that pocket piece. Going to cut away all of the excess fabric on the front and the back of the hoop. So that's from the bow and from around the entire gift card. Magic of video, it's done. Now we're back to the machine, and this is going to do a zigzag round all the raw edges, and then it's going to do the satin stitch of the actual gift card portion. So use matching bobbin thread would be easiest. You can see there it's done the satin stitch, and now I've changed the bobbin and I'm just doing the bow satin stitch. And that's it. That's your gift card holder made. If you just cut away the excess stabilizer, and again I would just put that under a book or something a bit heavy just to stop that from flapping upwards. Now all of them, to remove the water soluble stabilizer, I've just shown the black center here because it's easier to see. You just use some hot water and a Q-tip, and that just removes all traces of that stabilizer. Now you can see there I've actually added, after I've done the videos, added a little hanging tab there. This shows you when to do that in the instructions. That's for if you just want to hang them off the tree. So there we go. Now I've just got the variations there. That's the blank one with a credit card sized gift card in it. And I've just put my daughter Jamie's name on it. The centre with just a taffeta pocket. I quite like that one, the black one, looks quite striking. Then we've got the reindeer, that was done in the 5x7 one hooping, all one colour. The bow, the one we just stitched. The reindeer, I did one colour, not sure that that one worked. And then just the Merry Christmas, which is the blank one, but with no quilting on the back. And there, the bow with another taffeta type material. So there's really, you could do lots with it, use lots of different fabrics, a really great way of using up scraps, and just something nice to have as something a little bit personalised for those vouchers. Thanks so much for watching. Merry Christmas.